This video is about undertones on the clarinet and giving you an exercise to help address them. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. And so there's a book by Ronald Caravan that has a bunch of contemporary technique approaches to the clarinet, and one of his exercises for multiphonics, which is playing multiple notes at the same time, addresses this quite well. So I thought I'd go through a couple of these exercises for you. The first one starts on a throat F, and then it goes up chromatically F, F sharp, G, and then back to F sharp or G flat. So you play this at a mezzo piano dynamic level. Next, you finger an A. So 1, 2, thumb and register key. And you do the same thing as if you're going to play A, B flat, B, and C. But what we do is we try to play the undertone. So instead of the A, we play the undertone. And so you're going to have to play this at a very, very soft pianissimo dynamic level. Now I'll alternate between the fingered A and B flat. So we're focusing in to teach our oral cavity, the correct voicing for what that undertone is. So when it comes out inadvertently, we'll recognize the feeling quite easily. And then we're ultimately going to learn what the actual note feels like, and we can make a comparison as far as the feel in our oral cavity. Okay, let's go forward. Let's finger a low D and play a low D, and then press the register key as if we're going to play the A. So we're going to get a real D and then an A. So each of those muffled, quiet sounds were when I played the normal fingering, the traditional fingering for the upper register note, but I didn't allow the upper register note to come out. Let me finish off by playing what we know of as an E flat or a D sharp, and I'll play the actual note, and then I'll play the register key. So the only change here I'm making is just by adding the register key on and off. Now D. D flat or C sharp. And so we can allow those undertones to really stabilize. We won't be able to play them too loudly, but you'll get to know where they are, where they feel comfortable, and you recognize the feeling of them. Now let's go to what Ronald Caravan has as exercise number 2. We're going to finger a low F, then we're going to finger a high A, but that second fingering is going to be the undertone, and then we're going to just gradually let the A come out. So 3 separate notes. This next one, we're going to finger an F sharp, but it's going to be a false fingering. So I'm going to finger 1, 2 in the left hand, no thumb, 1, 2, 3 on the right hand. And then I'm going to go to what we know of as our B flat fingering, which is the register key thumb, 1, 2 side. And we're going to essentially get a low space F sharp on the staff to a sort of false F sharp undertone, and then let that come out to a B flat. The last one was a G, and then I fingered a C, got the undertone of the C, which is essentially a G undertone, and then I let the high C come out. Let's now alternate with that high C fingering between a undertone G and a high C, and we're going to go up little by, we're going to go down actually from the C chromatically to a fingered B, high B, fingered high B flat, fingered high A, starting each with the undertone and then the actual note. Now we're going to go the opposite. We're going to start in the clarion register on the A and come down to the undertone. Now a B flat. B. And then a high C to the G undertone. Now in quarter notes, a little faster. Now the last exercise is to take all of these things we learned just now, where we learned to finger a high note but produce an undertone. Then we learned to allow that upper note to come out, the actual fundamental, well, it's not fundamental, but it's the high note to come out. Now we're going to add, let the undertone come back in, so we essentially have a multiphonic. And what you're learning to do, again, with your oral cavity is to learn where the placement, the feel of each of these notes are, and learn to manage which one, if you choose, should be more dominant than the other. So we're going to finger a high A, we're going to get the undertone, which is an F, let the A come out, and then we're going to let the F come back in at the same time. C fingering. So we did the A, the B flat, the B, and the C. We're going to return and go back down and descend the same way. We're going to start with the high note though, everything is sort of opposite, flipped. High C, then let the undertone come out, and then let the upper note come back in. So we have both. And obviously we're very, very soft dynamic level, but when you're practicing this, what you're trying to strive for is the, like I said a moment ago, the feeling, the awareness of your air, your tongue position, which we kind of think of all in the word voicing, how we voice each note to get the proper sound that we want. Again, what we also get into here is colors of sound. So as you develop a really acute awareness of where each note is placed, you'll be able, the undertone or the actual note, you'll be able to actually start to play a little bit more with the color of each sound. And then that will give you further insight into music such as Debussy or a lot of the French and impressionistic music, which strongly emphasizes and demands that players really manipulate the colors of the sound as well as the various other elements. I hope that was helpful, and I will put a link for the book below, and thank you very much.